Stop. I'm not going to go to Jamaica, not be a Jamaican, not have Jamaican ancestry, and then fucking get mad at Jamaicans for not voting me to be the leader of their fucking country when they already said that they didn't want me in the first place. We'll get into that later. And I'm sitting here saying that I won't do anything specifically for Black Jamaicans. Well, then who the fuck am I doing shit for? The Chinese ones? You guys. I want to talk today about Kamala. Kamalat. All these fictitious fucking dreams and fantasies that people in and outside of the within and outside of the Black community have been so tempted with, trifling with the likes of a dream that really is a nightmare. Like, you all don't even know what you want. You don't even know what's good for you. Well, we'll take care of it for you. I mean, like, I'm just so done seeing these videos of people, constantly talking about, this is the reason that we're in this predicament today. The country is in the state that it's in because people either didn't vote, which is definitely, I mean, I can see that one, and or, well, it's always and people voted for Kamala, or excuse me, didn't vote for Kamala. There's this notion that, oh, okay, well, if they give you two options and you don't pick the lesser of the two options, then you are to blame for the state of the world that gave you those fucked up options in the first place and said that they were the only ones. And cold millions of people into voting for, into understanding that and then voting accordingly. We have more than two options. We had more than two options. And then you get people who say, oh, these are the dumb people who think that voting third party is actually going to save anything or anything like that. No, it's not going to do anything because you keep telling people that they should not vote third party, that they should only vote for the most popular of the two choices. And it's like, that doesn't make sense. Logically, when you look at the numbers, yeah, it's the easiest way to get someone to win. You know what I'm saying? Who you know will win, or you can pretty much bet your bottom dollar will win. But like, or at least you 50% know will win. Because that's what happens is you narrow the chances down to basically like a 50-50 between two allegedly starkly different candidates who are really just sporting the same fucking bullshit, putting out the same product, and one's got a red package and one has a blue one. Or one has red packaging and one has blue. So it's just like, I mean, I'm done. Like, I'm fucking done with this shit. I have a few points that I brought up to basically get into the weeds of, this is really surface level, but like to get into the weeds of why I feel the way that I do, and stand firmly behind the idea, the fact that everyone who's saying this stuff is wrong. They're absolutely wrong on many levels. So let's start with the identity politics of it all. So one of the biggest things that people like to, and I'm not reading from a script or anything. I just have notes. So like I have Camelot Won't Save You as the title of my notes. And then the first point is ID politics. And I wrote out ID politics to stand for identity politics. So, and then the second point is non-Black American agenda. So we're going to get into it. But it's very funny to me that the same identity politics that people have been condemned for participating in by the left and the right, honestly, is the same identity politics that people are playing on the left. So the same people who say that foundational Black Americans like myself, as a Creole woman, cannot, and I'm sorry, you guys, I'm like really stuffed up. I don't know what's going on. It comes and goes. It's crazy out here. But, people love to, this, the same identity politics that people love to condemn foundational Black Americans for espousing, that we are an ethnicity that should be respected. Even though we're all Black, we are a different ethnicity. It's very simple. It doesn't mean that people are being exclusionary or anything like. If you tell me that I'm not Jamaican American, or even Jamaican, period, not only is that absolute fact, but it's also not rude. It's not evil. It's not exclusionary in any other sense aside from just a factual one. Like some things, we have different categories in life. That's what I mean. That's I'm not explaining that to y'all. So, you know, people get really upset when foundational Black Americans come out and say that we are foundational to this country. We're not descendants of immigrants, first generation, second generation immigrants. We're not, uh, immigrants ourselves. We are foundational Black people of America. As it exists today and has existed for hundreds of years, we are, and even before it existed that way, we are foundational to this country. We got off the boat. Our blood is so strong and so uh, uh, present that we are still here after hundreds of years and years and years since we got off that boat, since our ancestors got off that boat, those boats, the Nebuchadnezzar, the Nautica. I mean, you take your pick. The fucking Mayflower. I don't know. Did they have slaves on the May? Look, they didn't tell you about the slaves on the Mayflower, did they? But it's just crazy. It's just insane. But these same people who diss these identity politics, you can't vote for foundational Black American things like reparations and delineation, or at least things that, follow suit with that, or, walk in step with that. No. Those same people will espouse identity politics when it suits them. So it's, oh, okay, Kamala is a Black woman. She's Black and she's a woman. So we're supposed to understand identity politics only just enough to get to the prospect that the fact that she's a Black woman. But we're not supposed to go any further, since we're using identity and relativity and culture to, sway people in this conversation and in this election, this debate. We're not getting into the weeds of, okay, what kind of Black is she? I mean, let's be real about it. You are not all skin folk are kinfolk. And that's a real thing. Do you want a Black person joining your pro-Black cause or your anti-racist cause, even if it's not just focusing on Black people, just anti-racism in general? Or do you want a coon? Do you want a Black person who literally just exalts white culture and white supremacy involved in your anti-racism or anti-Blackness affairs? Or do you want someone who is actually about that shit, about anti-racism, about anti-Blackness or pro-Blackness? You know? It's very simple. So if you can acknowledge that much, then you can acknowledge, yeah, okay, her ethnicity does matter. The fact that she descends from people who are Black still, but are not American, that's a very big important thing to know when we have this same woman saying that she won't specifically do anything for our demographic of American Black people. This woman was able to become the vice president of the United States of America, a country within which Black people have made it possible for her to even take up office in such a way, with such a title. And she says she won't do anything specifically for us. Then she had to backtrack. Because at one point, eventually, she had to be taken to task for that and actually, respond, because in a valid way, a factual way to some degree, because that's unacceptable. And because of the fact that I just listed or gave. So it's ridiculous. It's like people come over here. This is a consistent thing. People come over here and they take from us and they benefit from us and then they condemn us. You cannot have your cake and eat it too. You cannot make me make your cake and then condemn me in my cake making skills and tell me to make another one and then eat that shit. Why you eating all these cakes and making me make all these cakes if I don't make cakes well? You know what I'm saying? Why you stealing my recipe and opening up restaurants selling my exact fucking food? You didn't even need to steal my recipe because you be coming to my fucking restaurant getting shipments and shit. Like that white chick out there in California or wherever it was who was serving literally straight up Popeye's chicken in her restaurant and calling it homemade. So, you know, that white soul food, wool food, you know. Mm, yeah, but this is what we're dealing with. You know, this is what we have to, you know, contend with is a group of people who have collectively decided that what's ours is theirs and what's theirs is theirs, and what's ours can also be claimed by them and then contorted into whatever they've supplanted us to turn it into. I'm sick of it. So, I mean, and that's just, I'm just on my first fucking point, y'all. The second point is non-Black American agenda. And I get into that. I have three or four, I believe, different points. Yeah, four different points of that, including, and I'll go through them real quick just so that you can know what they are before I go through them. Non-Black agenda, non-Black American agenda. So specifically, we got points like hatred for foundational Black Americans, supplantants of us and our history, non-foundational Black American allegiances, and that's broken down into Kamalat's husband, her ancestry, her involved parent, and then the last point is of this point is. So I guess sub point of this point is few foundational Black American firsts in the top tier. So as an example, I listed V in parentheses, and then PUS, which is, you know, like POTUS, SCOTUS, you know what I'm saying? But to start with the first one under non-Black American agenda, hatred for foundational Black Americans, there's a persistent and consistent hatred for my people as foundational Black people of this country. There's a hatred. It's a very deep seated hatred for us. And it seems to come from a lot of stereotypes, a lot of falsehoods that people have before they come over here and or after they get here. And these things lead them to assimilate to non-foundational Black American culture and condemn us. Or they assimilate to our culture just so that they can use it to condemn us. You know what I'm saying? And then try to use it and display it and portray it in ways that, you know, are seen by them and others as sophisticated compared to us. So, you know, they can apparently make better soul music than the people who created it. They can make better gospel. They can make better raps. And who's this? Tyla, you know, great example. She can do it better. She'll have Halle Bailey, our Disney princess, hold her award for her, you know, because she just can't bear to do it. Oh, I hate when people prey upon your niceness and you also being slightly aloof to, you know, the evil that people basically your naivete, you know. But you know, I mean, that's just what it is. We got like these people out here who are like really hell bent upon, you know, proving that usurping us, basically, proving that we are an inferior version of ourselves and that they're able to be superior to that. How many examples of us being out in Nigeria, Zimbabwe, Madagascar, and basically trying to lead people to believe that we are the original Zimbabweans or the original people from Timbuktu or something like that, and that we can do what can you do? We can do it too. Like it's crazy. It's absolutely insane. Like I don't see that happening out here. I see us giving credit where credit is due. You know what I'm saying? And it's just crazy because it's like we've created entire holidays that show our appreciation for our roots and our culture. So people claiming that we are CIA adjacent, white supremacist hate group adjacent, just because we acknowledge who we are as a people in our history, that's a lot. It's quite a bit. So then we move on to supplantants of us in our history. Like I said, people are claiming this and they're claiming that. They'll claim our history and purport to be like us until the moment that we say something that they don't agree with, that basically, you know, leaves them less wiggle room to make decisions about us and to, contend with us. And when they see themselves losing that power, they attack. So a lot of them will be very upset as soon as we say stuff that, indicates delineation or something like that. So they'll say something like, um, you know, all of a sudden, like this black person who you thought was just like you is now putting you or trying to put you in your place. And it's a weird situation when you're not accustomed to it and you don't expect it, because it's like you're accustomed to black people being on the same accord and of the same accord, and then all of a sudden the accordion is like, out of tune. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's out of tune, girl. I always think they sound out of tune, but but it's crazy. It's just like, what are y'all talking about? Like, so y'all really gonna sit here and fucking try to pretend that you're, one of us until the moment that you reveal I'm actually a double agent and I'm here to, completely derail your whole movement and, usurp it, supplant the shit and, make it our own, supplant you and usurp your shit, make it our own. It's insane. It's insane. So you got people out here who will claim, our history. Oh, we fought for civil rights. Oh, Shabuzi gets on stage and, oh, immigrants built this country. Bitch, immigrants weren't even allowed in this motherfucking country until fucking yesterday. Until yesterday. The people who you're talking about who built this country, I feel like you're talking about people like the Chinese who built a lot of the railroads and things like that. Number one, Chinese people were not the only ones who built the railroads. You know what I'm saying? Number two, a lot of those Chinese people were Americans. Number three, the majority of the immigrants the majority of this country was built by our ancestors. It was built, the money, the wealth that even allowed for these things to be built, because you can't build shit without money, came from us. And a lot of these immigrants who you all are claiming built things, a lot of you all are talking about people who literally just got here decades ago, after the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. So y'all need to get it together. Y'all really need to get it together. This is ridiculous. Don't even know the history that y'all are out here claiming. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I'm just sick of people sitting here and trying to claim that everybody, and then Shabuzi says, oh, well, I'm an immigrant. So when everybody corrects him and says black people built this country, oh, well, I'm an immigrant. So, okay. Was that an admission as to why, as to your ulterior motives for saying some stupid shit like that, some incorrect shit like that? Or what was that about? Was that supposed to be a cop out? Oh, well, I'm an immigrant, so I don't really know these things. What was it? Was it an all knowing moment or an all showing moment when you didn't know shit? Like, I want to know. Were you intentionally coming up here and saying some false shit just because you knew the truth and you wanted people to believe this bullshit, or were you saying this because you were just coming from a place of ignorance and pride? It's ridiculous, These same people will claim what our ancestors did to fight for our rights in this country, but then they will literally shame us for continuing the movement for our rights that our ancestors began. You cannot be anti-black You can't be anti-foundational Black American, anti-Black. You know, we are the first people to claim Blackness as a good thing. You know what I'm saying? You can't be anti-Black and then turn around and claim that you're us, that you are Black, and that you are, you know, the epitome of everything that we, you know, our people stood for. Where's the disconnect? So when did modern foundational Black Americans become a lesser version of our fucking selves, basically, of our ancestors, of our mothers and fathers, grandmothers and grandfathers? Then the third of 4 points under, you know, sub points under non-Black American agenda, I've got non-foundational Black American allegiances. And for Kamalat, I've got her husband, her ancestry, and her involved parent. So you got a white husband. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that necessarily. I'm just saying that it shows us some things. You got a white husband. You have non-foundational Black American ancestry, and but even though you do have Black ancestry, because she's of a Jamaican man who is, if I'm not mistaken, from and or his parents from the you know, from Jamaica, the actual island. And I don't know if you all are aware, but that is not a U.S. territory. It's a British territory. And then there's the involved parent, and to my knowledge, the most involved parent in her life, at least the one who she touts the most, is her mother. And, you know, I mean, you'll see pictures of her when she's a little girl and her mother and her sister and all this other stuff. So, like, and of course, we know her mother is Indian. So, these are the things, these allegiances that you have, not just affiliations, but allegiances, because she has specifically said that she will do things specifically for her Indian community, but she won't do things for Black foundational Americans. And is that because she's not one of us and she recognizes that? Or is it because she is anti-Black? Neither of those reasons is going to do. Like, neither of them suffices. And you're mad at everybody else for not voting you into a country where this is, I mean, like, that we claim before you and your people. Like, stop. I'm not going to go to Jamaica, not be a Jamaican, not have Jamaican ancestry, and then fucking get mad at Jamaicans for not voting me to be the leader of their fucking country when they already said that they didn't want me in the first place. We'll get into that later. And I'm sitting here saying that I won't do anything specifically for Black Jamaicans. Well, then who the fuck am I doing shit for? The Chinese ones? Girl. So then the last point that I have is, and I just want to expound upon that point real quick, because this is a very important part. Your allegiances show a lot about what you're going to do for yourself, for your people, you know, in your capacity. And a lot of these people, they do not have the allegiances that they need to have to bring to fruition what we need them to bring to fruition. And that is why a lot of the time we end up in these fucked up positions and we're wondering why we voted for someone or why we supported someone. And they did us like this. So the last sub point that I have of non-Black American agenda is few foundational Black American firsts in the top tier. And then I've got VPUS, Vice President and President of the United States of America. As we already know, Kamala is not a foundational Black American. Neither is Barack Obama. I mean, with a name like that, it's kind of obvious. But yeah, just because he technically would be considered a Black American on the face, because he was born in America, Hawaii is a part of America. He still is a man who descends from, immediately descends from an African man, I believe Kenyan to be exact, and a white woman. That does not a foundational Black American make. And I don't think that we need to have every single first in this country be I don't think necessarily we have to have that. I do think that we should. I think that if you're the first Black person to be in a position of power in this country that we've never had before, then you should be a foundational Black American. Yes, I do believe that. But that's not what I'm really fighting for at the end of the day the most. What I'm really fighting for is that we even be in these positions at all. There is no reason that we've had a Black president and a Black vice president and almost a Black female president, and all of them, or both of them, have been fucking non-foundational Black Americans. Out of all of the foundational Black people in this country, none of us have qualified to be that person. And this is the type of stuff, these are the questions that we ask. If this was the other way around and we were talking about some other fucking country, there is no way that a Black American would go to another country and within that same fucking lifetime of traveling to that fucking country, or maybe being born in that country after their parents traveled there, that they would somehow be supported and expected to be the fucking president or the leader of their fucking country. It's just not a thing. It's not a thing. Only in America does some shit like that happen. And people say that that's the American dream. And to an extent it is, but it isn't. It's really a nightmare because it allows for Black people, it's a nightmare because it allows for yet another group of people, other groups even, to be able to supplant us and usurp us in a country that is already anti-Black in the first fucking place. If we're the ones who made the most change and the country is already anti-Black and we're constantly making changes against that, do you really think that they're going to give us the opportunities to accelerate that change, or that they're going to find someone else, even people who look like us, who are literally the total opposite, and keeps them in power and has us out here looking stupid because other Black people are condemning us for whatever? Bitch, fuck off with that bullshit. You ain't gonna shame us. If you ain't shamed us before, you ain't gonna shame us now. So moving on, we've got truancy. Everybody wants to muddy the waters with this situation, so I did a little research myself. The bill that was enacted, that was proposed by and supported by Kamala, when it comes to truancy back in the day, is Section 270.1 of the California Penal Code. And it basically mandated that parents of children who don't really have valid excuses for missing 10%, I believe, an entire school year would be subject to arrest and fines and jail time up to not more than a year. They did perp walks of certain Black women who, like Cherie Peoples, I believe is her name, who, according to the Huffington Post, who were basically shown as like these criminals who were, and shown as the face of truancy. And this, yet again, was another way for racial discrimination and scrutiny upon Black people and non-white people. So much so that Assembly Bill 461, that was just signed into law by Gavin Newsom, so much so that that is literally working to decriminalize parents of truant kids and truancy itself. So that people who are already struggling, a lot of the time these kids miss school because they're kids, and if they don't have the guidance, they will do whatever they want to do. And one of the main things that kids don't want to do is go to fucking school every day. So if you don't have that structure reinforcing that, because your parent is literally working 2-3 different jobs and barely at the house, or maybe you all don't even have a fucking house, then yeah, you're going to end up being truant. And then you're sending people to jail who already are unfortunately unable to keep their kids from being true in the first place because they work too much. But people wanted to talk about how, oh, you're lying about this, and she wasn't locking up black parents, and those are just lies and all this other stuff. And it's like, no, it literally happened. It literally happened. Nobody's saying that she intentionally, well, not as many people, at least. The majority of people are not saying that she intentionally was trying to harm the black community with this. But intention and actual fucking damage are two totally different things. So then, if moving on, we have the disingenuousness in opposition. So for this, I put I'm meaning like the ethnicity versus race conversation when it comes to foundational Black Americans, versus the country versus continent conversation. Africa's a continent. A lot of these same people who act remiss or incapable or incompetent, considering foundational Black Americans being an ethnicity and Black being a race that we all share throughout the diaspora. The cognitive dissonance that people feign and stuff like this, the incompetence, is so funny when you consider that these same people are the ones who say Africa is a continent. Africa is a continent, not a country. So, basically trying to shame people who say that somebody is from Africa or something is from Africa. We don't expect them to say that something is from the United States of America every time they talk about something being from here. Even though there are two whole continents named America, South and North, and we could be talking about anywhere in the Western Hemisphere, in that part of the Western Hemisphere, when we say something's from America. You know what I'm saying? We don't say that. But they have the audacity to sit up here and act like just because somebody says something's from Africa, that means that they think that Africa is a fucking country. But these are the same people who, when we identify as foundational Black Americans, our ethnicity, say, oh, there's some kind of problem with doing that. Oh, police are not going to ask you, are you a foundational Black American when they pull you over and all this other stuff. Number one, it's very funny that they're using that argument, because yet again, this is another example of them using the tools that we provided them with to be able to condemn us, to try to condemn us. We are the ones who use that to acknowledge the similarity between us when you all were claiming that we needed to be gunned down by police or that we needed to just comply. When you thought that complying instead of dying was really an option before you all really had to eat that shit too, after all of these cases, and a lot of them being of you all being fucking killed by your white fucking friends and fucking girlfriends and shit and partners. Whole nother video. And being from Nigeria and all these other different places, when you couldn't say that anymore, now you're turning it around and you're trying to say, oh, well, we're all Black. When you get stopped by the police, they're not going to ask you if you're a Black American. That's not the point of what we're saying. The point of what we're saying, we're not expecting that to matter in a situation with a fucking police officer. We're expecting it to matter in political discussions about our fucking rights in our future in our own fucking country. It's not difficult, you guys. But when you're actively trying to sabotage, supplant, and usurp a group of people, then you do act like it's difficult to understand simple things. So I just got 2 more points. Derelict Democrats. People are so upset about, oh, Kamala this. Girl, where are the Democrats at? Where are they at? Stand up. Stand up. Where they at? Like, I'm not understanding y'all. Y'all are so mad that somebody didn't vote for a Democrat. And y'all see what these hoes are out here doing right now. And what they're not doing right now. We got white people being killed by fucking police, by ICE officers. Immigration. White American citizens are being killed by immigration officers. Latin immigration, Latinos. Yeah, like who might not even be legal themselves, girl. Might just barely be legal themselves. Might just barely know English themselves fluently. And they killing y'all white asses. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's crazy out here, y'all. But the Democrats ain't doing shit. They ain't doing shit. They ain't doing shit they supposed to be doing. Honestly, the last things I heard about them voting on were things that they voted in agreement with Republicans on. And then came back and said, oh, you tricked us. You duped us. But these are the same Democrats y'all want us to vote for. That goes for all Democrats. Okay? But to be more specific, we never wanted Kamala. And that's my last point. And I hinted at it earlier. We never wanted her. We made it very clear during the primaries that she was not our choice. Bitches chose fucking Biden over her ass. I think I did too. She didn't have a good platform. She barely even had a platform. When she finally got that together, she had to revamp it because after months of saying that she wouldn't, because it wasn't working. She didn't speak well. She didn't hold attention or hold rooms well. She didn't hold numbers well. And she was giving us the same fucking bullshit that we've had for fucking decades. We need a revolutionary. You all keep talking about revolutions and you keep acting like y'all know what to do to usher one in, and you don't. You don't know anything about anything. Because you over here voting for somebody like that. Girl, what? The bitch told that is the exact reason that she failed in her own campaign is why we did not vote for her, because we knew that she would fail. And I'm gonna leave it at that. The reason that we didn't vote for Kamala is because we knew she was a loser. And guess what, y'all? Guess what? Do I need to say it? She lost. She lost. This is exactly why we didn't vote for her, because we knew that she was going to toe the line for Democrats the same way that she did, and she wrote about it in her book. I think they said it was New York Times bestseller. She wrote about that bullshit in her book and how she just sat up. It really never seemed to come to the reality, the conclusion that she was duped by the Democrats and that she was used by that party and by Biden. Never came to that conclusion and blamed everything else but Democrats not making her, not allowing her to distance herself from Biden and from the norm of, Democrat dereliction of duty. So why didn't we vote for Kamala? Why didn't we believe that she would win? Why didn't we have her save our country? Because she couldn't even save herself.